All right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Working People, a podcast about the lives, jobs, dreams, and struggles of the working class today. Brought to you in partnership with In These Times magazine and the Real News Network, produced by Jules Taylor, and made possible by listeners and supporters like you. Working People is a proud member of the Labor Radio Podcast Network. If you're hungry for more worker and labor-focused shows like ours, follow the link in the show notes and go check out the other great shows in our network. And please support the work that we're doing here at Working People so that we can keep growing and keep bringing y'all more important conversations. Leave us a positive review on Apple Podcasts. And, share these episodes on your social media and with your coworkers, your friends, and your family members. And, of course, the best thing that you can do to support our work is become a paid monthly subscriber on Patreon for just $5 a month. Subscribe for $10 a month, and you'll also get a print subscription to the amazing In These Times magazine, delivered right to your mailbox every month. And if you're already an In These Times magazine subscriber, then you might see yours truly on the cover. Well, I'm not on the cover, but I interviewed Nina Turner for the cover story. So you guys should go check that out. And if you are a $10 level subscriber at Working People, then it should be in your inbox already. So if you want to subscribe, just head on over to patreon.com/workingpeople. That's patreon.com/workingpeople. Hit the subscribe button and you'll immediately get access to all of the awesome bonus episodes that we've recorded and published for our amazing subscribers. My name is Maximilian Alvarez, and boy, we've got a killer episode for y'all today. So it's finally here. Folks have been asking us to do more episodes on the independent Amazon labor union and their incredible fight over on Staten Island in New York, and rightly so. What the workers there are doing is, well, I mean, there's no other word for it. It's really historic. And, anyone who looks closely can see that what they have already accomplished and what they're building, their fearlessness and ambition, and, just the love and joy and grit and camaraderie and determination that they are showing. This is what a movement looks like. And, we all need to support it however we can. And we all have a role to play here. We need to listen and learn and encourage and show up and stand strong together, ready to take on whatever Jeff Bezos and the ruling class throw at us. We can't be just fair weather supporters here. We've got to commit and be in it for the long haul. We've got to actually be there when it counts, not just when it's trending online. Because if we do that, then we can all have a hand in taking back the future that has been stolen from us. We can save this breaking world, and we can build a new one that works for all of us. And, if I sound like I've got my head in the clouds, that's because I got to see this movement up front firsthand. And, if you had the opportunity to see it yourself, I think you'd feel the same way that I do. And, that's what we hope to accomplish with today's special episode. For those of you who couldn't be in New York this weekend for the Amazon Labor Union's rally, we hope that this compilation of interviews and speeches from the rally will at least give you a sense of the heroic struggle happening on Staten Island and why it is inspiring workers all over the country. So for the Real News Network, I got to travel up to New York this weekend to report on the ALU rally. And I also got to record some other critical interviews with immigrant demolition workers and a partner at one of the Starbucks locations in the city that recently filed for a union election. So definitely keep your eyes on the Real News Network website for when those reports are published. And we also got one coming out on the ALU rally itself, which was held on Sunday, April 24th, outside the JFK 8 Amazon Fulfillment Center on Staten Island, where just 1 month ago, workers with the ALU shocked the world by becoming the first Amazon workforce in the U.S. to successfully vote to unionize. And, they put on this weekend's rally to support their co-workers at the LDJ 5 sorting center, which is another facility in the same giant complex that will actually be voting in their own union election this week. And voting actually began on Monday. And the ballots will be counted in the beginning of May. And, just a heads up to listeners, at one point in one of the interviews that I recorded for this episode, I accidentally say that votes will be counted this week, but I meant to say cast, and I basically fucked it up. So, yeah, the voting is happening right now as we speak. And the results will have huge repercussions for the workers at LDJ 5, first and foremost, but also for the ALU and workers everywhere. And, we hear from speakers and interviewees in this episode. They give you some more context on this struggle. LDJ 5, like I said, is a sorting center. JFK 8 is a massive fulfillment center, much like the one down in Bessemer, and it's even bigger than that. The one in Bessemer, I think, was a little over 5,000 workers. The one in Staten Island is over 8,000. And the LDJ 5 sorting center is right across the street. There are differences there. It's smaller, as a number of the speakers say. A large amount of the workforce there is actually part-time, and that makes it very difficult to organize. But, a lot of the issues that they have been raising are very much the same and very familiar to anyone who's been following the struggles happening at Amazon and the things that workers are going through there. And, if LDJ 5 becomes the second Amazon facility to unionize, it will, I think, prove that what happened at JFK 8 was not a fluke, but really the beginning of a historic movement to unionize the second largest private employer in the U.S. and one of the most powerful corporations in the world. It will also mean that Amazon is going to have a much harder time trying to contain and neutralize the threat posed by the JFK 8 union victory last month. And again, the weight of the moment was absolutely palpable this weekend. You could feel the fire and the fearlessness from workers. The support from other parts of the labor movement and the community was immense. And yeah, of course, the support from Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez galvanized everyone there. I don't know where this is all heading. I don't know how far this movement can go, and I don't know how hard the bosses and the ruling class will fight back. But that is what it means to live in the midst of a history that is not yet decided. The future is not lost yet. Not if we fight for it. And you better believe that Amazon workers in Staten Island and around the country are fighting like hell. This is their story.
couldn't be more proud of this moment right here. Starting this movement in the beginning, we didn't have the support that we do now, and now that we won, I'm just glad that everyone's finally waking up and realizing the power that we have as an organization, as people. And I think that's been lost throughout these years, and I'm glad that it's finally back. Shout out to Bernie Sanders, man. You're a legend. Shout out to AOC. Thank you. Shout out to the community. We did this shit. Workers did this. Workers. So now we have to take this power and we got to take it to Jeff Bezos' office and we got to let him know that we mean business. We're not playing with y'all anymore. We've woken the country up, and I want us to continue on this journey, and I want us to win LDJ5. LDJ5 has been busting their ass, organizing day in and day out, and we need to support them. And also, we need to support all the Amazon facilities around the world who want to organize as well. Jeff Bezos, your time is coming, brother. Your time is coming, you hear me? The people have spoken, and it's time for us to whoop that ass in that election. It's over. Thank you.
And if we don't get it, 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 shut it down. Remember time we don't get it, shut it down. Damn right. Hold on. Let me talk my shit now. It's been a while. So number one, we gotta win tomorrow, right? We gonna start this off a good week. Times two, we gonna give them another dub on their head. I'm tired of the rumors being spread about the ALU. Let me tell you this. This is an independent worker-led union that started with no money, 2 tables and 4 chairs over there last year. They tried to demonize me, saying that I haven't been dead against the company. You damn right, you fired me. So March 30th, 2020. March 30th, 2020. We left a mark right there at that fence. Me and Derek, Jason Anthony, Jordan Flowers, Gerald Bryson. My brother, I see you over there, bro. Yeah. We left a mark right there. We said, we're not gonna stand here during COVID, and we ain't gonna accept these working conditions being deemed essential workers with no PPE, no facial masks, no cleaning supplies, nothing. From that moment forward, we never looked back. We said, you know what? If you're going to demonize us, of course we're going to take it right to you. And we didn't let up. We didn't quit. We didn't say, you know what? Let's just take a legal action and sue Amazon. We said we're going to travel the country. We're going to go to Jeff Bezos' mansions. We're going to go to his penthouses. We're going to go anywhere that's necessary to advocate for workers' rights. And then after Alabama, we say, you know what? Let's bring it back home to New York. And that's exactly what we did. We brought it right back to New York, to home base, and we beat them right here, right here. And I'm so proud that our team expanded, the workers that are organizing expanded, and now we got to a point where the workers are now organizing themselves. And it's not just here in Amazon. We got emails from Walmart, we got emails from Target, Dollar General, from Apple, from Starbucks. We are going to take over the country. The workers are. The workers are going to fight back and take over the country. It's a worker-led movement, the labor movement now. And I'm telling you now, this is just the beginning. Stay tuned, stay connected with us. We're going to need this support continuing from here on out. You know, the revolution, this is what you're witnessing right now. This is the revolution. That's it. This is the revolution. That's it.
My name is Jordan Flowers. I'm 23 years old. I live in Staten Island, New York. I'm the lead walkout organizer at JFK and co-founder at ALU. I led the walkout with Chris Smalls, Derek Palmer, and Gerald Bryson. We've been fighting for 3 years. We successfully unionized JFK, and we're on the verge of doing it right now for LDJ5.
Hell yeah, man. So, as y'all heard, just there, we are actually standing outside of the JFK 8 LDJ5, like massive Amazon complex here on Staten Island. My man Jordan here has got a plate full of pizza. I managed to pull him aside for a quick few minutes. So I really appreciate you chatting with me, man. And I was wondering if we could start by kind of going back to that walkout. Take us back there for a second and just tell us a bit about your mindset and what really made you say, all right, you know what, we're doing this. Let's go.
So I wasn't in the facility at the time. I was doing more of the media work before they really did the walkout. Chris, Derek, and Gerald were in the office every day making raising concerns. Again, Chris and Derek went home. They both live in Jersey. They were like, we need to do a walkout. Me and Jerry said the same thing because Jerry's actually my neighbor. So we said the same thing. And, we all just coordinated we're just going to do this together. And, we went out March 30th, 2020 and led that walkout for JFK.
Yeah. And so, what for you, I guess, what was the kind of push to do something about what's going on in Amazon, right? To actually unionize the second largest private employer in the country and build a union while you were doing it.
So, wow. Again, the four of us, also Brett Daniels, Connor Spence, Jason Anthony, they all came along, TCOEW, that, raising concerns about JFK and other facilities that was high in COVID, that, workers like me, I should say, again, for my story, I have lupus nephritis. I've had it for 13 years, that my health was declining, actually working inside of Amazon. Now I'm on the verge of dialysis and a kidney transplant. And again, I'm 23. I shouldn't even be looking at that right now. So, again, my push for that was workers with medical issues and medical backgrounds and any type of history, just anything with medical, because, medical is still a big part of your health and everything, your health, wealth, and your mindset. And, again, me having an immunocompromised system, I'm easily susceptible to catch COVID. So again, I'm not gonna bust my ass and work for this company and end up catching COVID. I'm my mom's only son, and if I end up with COVID, it could be in a critical situation. I could end up on a ventilator in the hospital. So that was my stance on the walkout.
And how does Amazon corporate respond to workers like yourself who have these health conditions? Well,
in 2019 they fired me. They fired me again last year, June, but they reinstated me. Now they have me on medical suspension. They could fire me right now if they wanted to, but again, it's because we're making such a powerful move and powerful stance that I have the union behind me now. So anything and any little move anyone tries to do against me, I know I got the union support behind me. So even the beginning of the ALU, it consisted the 7 of us from TCOEW, and then we just started building a family from JFK to LDJ5. And when you come together as co-workers, and let them know that there's concerns in each facility, that your team goes in, you have a domino effect, your friends start telling friends about the union, and then everyone starts showing support that as of today, that we got the union for JFK, as I mentioned before, and we're on the verge of getting LDJ5 now.
Hell yeah. And I guess kind of by way of rounding out, tell me what it's been like since you guys shook the earth with JFK 8, and now we're looking ahead to LDJ 5. What has the past month been like for you, and why should folks out there listening really be paying attention to the LDJ 5 vote?
So personally, I'm gonna say for myself, it was a big stress reliever because again, we've been TCOEW for 2 years, 3 years now, I should mention. We're going into 3 years, ALU's 2 or a year now. Again, it was a lot of dedication, self-investment that we did, traveling the world, showing the workers that this man is making all this money and this is all he's buying, his cribs, super yacht, tearing down the bridge in London.
Going to fucking space?
Going to space. And, he thanked the workers for going to space. Whereas he could have gave us that money and supported us. And the dudes that he was in the plane with, the spaceship with, he gave them $100 million each. And we never heard what they ever did with that money. So again, we know that money could have came to us, that it would have been supporting us as workers, and we could have kept this on a local to base level. But you smeared Chris, And smearing Chris also means that you smeared me, you smeared Gerald, and you smeared Derek. And you know, we're black men in society, so we're going to take a stance, and we're going to show you that we're going to fight back and we're not scared. And again, TCOEW built ALU, and now ALU is one big family, and we're all here for a good fight.
Hell yeah, man. And I guess just last question, like, what can folks listening around the U.S. and around the world do to support you, ALU, Amazon workers everywhere?
One, you know, just think about the workers that's inside pushing these packages. Again, these facilities are high in COVID still. Even though they're saying that COVID's dropping, COVID's still going to remain high in the facility. So when you guys order, you know, COVID could last 24 hours on a cardboard box. So you're doing next day shipping. So, you know, you're bringing COVID right to your doorstep, and you're bringing it right to your community. And then again, the Amazon workers are bringing it to their communities, being inside the facility. So again, you know, just limit the orders, support your local business. And at the same time, just, you know, consider that these workers is doing a lot, and they're being sick, and then Amazon's not taking care of them. So we're just trying to, you know, look out for the customers also, and not spread COVID as bad as it is already.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Solidarity.
Thanks, brother.
All right, now I really got to leave.
And you got, your phone, over here, your phone.
See? That's how you know I'm in the rush.
So once again, I want to uplift these workers who brought us here to this very moment. Without these workers organizing, without this victory that we had on April 1st, without us spending the last year at this bus stop right over here, none of this would be possible. So we can't forget where we came from, how it started. This is a long journey that started 2 years ago for myself and others, 1 year ago for the ALU, but I'm so proud to be standing here with my brothers and sisters and my comrades and the community that's here to support. Without further ado, though, I want to bring up Senator Sanders from Vermont, who came here to stand aside there with these Amazon workers today. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. It is a true honor for me to be here with you guys today. What you have done in taking on Amazon and having this facility here in Staten Island, the very first Amazon facility to unionize in the entire country, is an extraordinary achievement. You have taken on one of the most powerful corporations in America. They spent millions of dollars trying to defeat you. You are taking on one of the wealthiest guys in America, worth $170 billion, and you beat them. And I'll tell you what this struggle is about. It's not just Amazon Staten Island. This is the struggle that is taking place all across this country. Working people are sick and tired of falling further and further behind while billionaires like Bezos become much richer. Now, when you're worth $170 billion, as Bezos is, when you got a corporation that is making huge profits, you know what? You can pay your workers good wages, you can provide good benefits, and you can have decent working conditions, not what you got right now. And a pension. I want to tell you, you may not know this, but you have been an inspiration for millions of workers all across this country. That's right. Because they have looked at you and they have said, these guys in Staten Island, New York, stood up to an extraordinarily powerful corporation If they could do it in Staten Island, we could do it throughout this country. And what this whole struggle is about is whether we continue to have an economy in which billionaires get much richer while the middle class shrinks, or whether we have an economy that works for all. Right. So I say to Jeff Bezos, who owns a $500 million yacht, I say, Jeff, when you're out on your yacht, I want you to think about the workers in Staten Island and your employees all over this country. They don't want a $500 million yacht. They don't want a $23 million mansion that you have in Washington, D.C. What do they want? They want housing that is affordable. They want to be able to put away a few bucks to send their kids to college. They don't want to be exploited and continue this massive turnover that takes place here because of the horrible working conditions. So what you are doing here is sending a message to every worker in America that the time is now to stand up to our oligarchy, to stand up to this excessive corporate greed, and create an economy that works for all, not just the few. I'm pleased to introduce to you a young woman who has revolutionized the United States Congress. She's doing an extraordinary job. Please welcome Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Theo Bernie once, Theo Bernie always. Thank you, everybody. Let's just give a big shout out to the workers that did the damn thing. And Derek, and Justine, and just so many of our organizers here. We just met behind closed doors. Was incredible and remarkable, and they reminded the world that you don't need millions of dollars to stand up to multi-billion-dollar corporations. You just gotta do the work. You just need solidarity. You need to show people that you give a damn about them, and they will come together and organize and demand better for their lives. And so what happened here, out here, right, that you guys did in Staten Island, was just the beginning. It was the first domino to fall. The first one. And then we're gonna have another election tomorrow, and we're gonna support them in that, and then the day after that, and the day after that. All the way. But what we need Amazon to do first and foremost is to recognize the union that won their election. Amazon's out here. In Bessemer, they changed the street lights. In Bessemer, they messed with the post offices. They'll recognize that loss. But when these workers went fair and square, they refused to recognize their victory. So first and foremost, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, everybody, we gotta recognize the fact that they did this thing and they won a union election fair and square. Amazon in America, right here in New York City. And now what we need to do next is make sure that we support them. All of us as a city need to remember that New York City is a union town. Do business out here in New York, you gotta treat our people right. And so if you can go to space, you can give our workers a bathroom break. Ain't that right? If you go to space, you can make sure that you're treating people well and giving them solid health care benefits. That they don't have a 3-hour commute to and from work. That they can afford the house that they can live in. That people don't have to be sleeping in their cars in order to work for Amazon. All of this is an indignity and an injustice, and it has no place in New York City, and we're gonna change that, and right here our workers out here are gonna change that. So New York, it's time to step up for our workers, because we're gonna make sure that they go all the way. We've got their back, and if Amazon and Blue Origin wants $10 billion contracts, and if they want $100 million tax breaks from the state, well, they got to do their end of the deal too. All right? So we're out here to support them. We're out here to make sure that we've got our workers' backs, because again, New York City is a union town, and we're not going to stop until the United States of America is union-based. So thank you so much.
name is Karen Ponce. I am a worker organizer with the Amazon Labor Union and the current interim secretary. I work at JFK. I've been there for a year now. Before that, I was at DYY6 for 3 months, but I was let go because apparently they had no more work. So, yep.
And so, talk us through that. So, like, what was that like when they were just like, oh, sorry, you got no more job?
Yes, so I was a seasonal worker. They promised many of us that they were going to transfer us over to full-time, and a lot of us were really counting on that. I found it to be a pretty decent place to work. I was making $17, a little bit more than minimum wage. So I was okay until I received the email saying, oh, you know, like, I've been let go and I couldn't come into the building. Security literally told me, you know, I can't come in. And I was like, no, I need an answer here. And one of my managers came out and he said, Karen, well, we're not mad at you. It's just that there's no work. You know, so it's like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do now? You know, like, we have bills to pay. So I went on unemployment for the first time. We're in the middle of the pandemic. Everybody's broke as hell. And then a few months later, JFK was hiring, and I was like, okay. I picked up the night shift. They pay $20 an hour since it's nighttime for 12 hours, 5:45 p.m. till 6:15 a.m. Again, automatically, I got a taste of their bullshit. Heavily monitor everything you do every second. You can't go to the bathroom without them, you know, like the boss is breathing behind your neck. So, I mean, and then I noticed the Amazon's anti-union propaganda. So, you know, you can't help it.
Yeah.
It's in the bathroom stalls, it's in the cafeteria. And then one of my professors hit me up one day, because I'm cool with my old professors. I didn't graduate not too long ago. I graduated in 2021 with a sociology bachelor's.
Nice.
From
Congrats.
CSI. Thank you. So, you know, we just chat. He's like, oh, Karen, what are you doing now? And he's like, oh, and he's been following the Amazon Labor Union since way back in Bessemer. So he knows all about Chris and the whole story. And I'm like, oh, professor, I don't think it's gonna work out here. I'm like, I think it's gonna be the same thing like Bessemer. I said, Amazon's too powerful. But he was like, Karen, well, why don't you go chat with them, go find out. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, you know, he gave me like that little push.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Connor Spence, the vice president, and he answered everything. I was like, what are you going to be charging? Can I get fired for this? Because I can tell Amazon doesn't like this. You know, like, what is this basically? Because I don't even have prior union experience. My parents are not in unions.
Mine either.
I'm the oldest child. This is all pretty new. I mean, I think I've, you know, semi heard about it, but I don't really know like what it really is. They try to say that ALU's a third party. They're outsider folks. Don't listen to them. Don't be fooled by the vest.
Right, they do the thing where they bring in an outside consultant to tell you that the union is an outside party, right?
So I was like, but then when I spoke to Connor, I found out that they're all workers here and that they know what they're doing, and they taught me some good stuff, the NLRA and the process, getting 30% of the signatures. And then they even welcomed me. Chris said, Karen, do you have any talents? Or, you know, and I was like, well, you know, I'm okay at writing. And I mean, I started getting more involved. I started coming out, helping them get signatures, and I was very nervous in the beginning, but you know, I developed organizing skills along the way. And then I was like, hold on, but this can't be it. So I even looked up a book on unions. I'm like, anything, I need to inform myself. So Jane McAlevey was very helpful. Justine, one of my comrades, she even made a playlist for me on union songs. So I'm like, okay, you know, like I'm really feeling this. So it's been like 6 months organizing with them. Every step of the way has been new and learning and exciting. And I can't believe it. Like fast forward, just like that, 6 months later, boom, we're already on to the next building.
Wow. No,
everything's happening so quickly.
Well, I mean, and you guys are doing it, right?
Yeah.
So like, you know, I can only imagine how much your head is spinning, but the rest of us are just like what y'all have accomplished here at an 8,000 plus person facility, in part of a complex with other facilities. Like you said, LDJ5 is voting at the second largest private employer in the country, one of the most powerful corporations in the world. And you guys kick their ass.
Yeah.
Like that. And it seems like you're legitimately, like, I know we're talking about really serious shit here. Working conditions, COVID safety conditions, pay, not getting fired at the drop of a hat. but it does seem like the camaraderie and even the fun that y'all are having together, like that's something that's really striking.
And I just want to add something. I tell everybody, I'm like, I don't care like if you claim to be pro-union, anti-union, or about your politics. I don't want to hear that right now. One thing I know for certain is that all of y'all talk shit in that building. All of y'all complain. I'm like, so just think about that. This is a formal way and legal way to do something about it. You know? So, and I mean, ALU claims to be apolitical. They don't really like to get involved too much. I mean, at the end of the day, things are political, but some people don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
So we can't let it be polarized. We need to stick, you know, like to what's important, which is the work conditions, and that this is going to benefit everybody, and that it's not a third party, it's a worker-led movement, and that we all have to put in our fair share to this fight.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, just kind of picking up on that point, and I don't want to keep you too long, but like, you know, you mentioned this at the top as well, and I think one thing I've been trying to tell people from the media side, because, you know, Luis Feliz Leon, our brother and comrade in arms, like put us in touch. Luis and I were down there in Bessemer this time last year covering that, and, you know, with that election loss, you know, I think a lot of people were disheartened, but like what I try to tell people, I was like, all the things that workers were saying about what they were going through, being surveilled, like having their bodies breaking down, like sitting in their car before work, dreading going in, like that didn't go away, right?
Oh, still the same thing.
Yeah, so like, I guess for folks like listening, could you just like tell them a little more about what like you go through, you know, on a day-to-day basis?
So the thing with like, it's like once you start working here, like you'll come in like with an optimistic mindset, like, okay, yeah, they're a little bit better than other jobs, but it's like you're gonna see the nonsense right away, and you're gonna develop even like health-related issues down the road. I've met people that develop tendinitis. Me personally, I've started developing like acid reflux, and I think it's because we eat a bunch of junk, like energy drink every day. We don't have time for the food to process well. People faint in there. So it's like your health is really at stake here. You're not getting enough sleep. In my case, I work a 12-hour shift. My boyfriend is kind enough to drive me to Brooklyn sometimes, but it's like if he doesn't take me, I have to go in the MTA, and it takes me 2 hours and I have to go home. So imagine 2 hours and I have to go home, 2 hours and I have to come to work. That's 5 hours of my time spending on commute plus a 12-hour shift. So it's like, how much am I really sleeping? Well, not just me and along with others. Some people come from the Bronx.
Yeah, jeez.
So we've been asking for that shuttle bus since 2020. Well, that's what I've seen, and nothing's being done. Jeff Bezos can afford it to make his workers' lives a little easier, but you know. Yeah. We gotta push. We gotta push him.
Yeah, you gotta fucking. He's not gonna do it of his own volition. We're gonna make him do it.
Yeah.
Right? And so I guess last question, and thank you so much for chatting with me. Is I guess folks who are listening to this, what can they do to show support for you all, not only at JFK 8 but LDJ 5 and Amazon workers everywhere?
So one of the ways where they can help us is by donating to the Amazon Labor Union Solidarity Fund. It helps a lot. We use the money for food. As you can see, we're always feeding the workers. It creates good vibes. For merch. That's one way. Another way is when we're organizing and we're phone banking, please do help, because I feel like that's such a great and strong component to the voter turnout. Maybe just coming out, helping us get flyers. If you have union experience, please come and help us, share your experience so that other workers know how important this is and how it's changed their life and how it could change our life. I think those are 3 great ways.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Crushed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Today, seriously, this means the world to all the workers here. I want to give a special shout out to 4 people real quick. You guys probably don't know their names, but everyone in the building does. Rebecca Smith, Letitia Hardy, Rebecca Romero, and Katie Lev. And I'm giving them a shout out because they're getting paid $400 an hour to tell us to vote no, to tell us that we shouldn't be fighting for more than 1825. What's disgusting? What's disgusting? What's disgusting? What's disgusting? Damn right. So when we're coming here today, gathering here today, I want them to know that we're not fucking afraid of you. That no one's convinced by it, and that if you show your face again here, every single worker in the building is gonna know how much you're getting paid. Every single worker. So be ready to throw hands. So when 400 an hour, yeah, that ass. So when I first came to this building, like a little over 3 months ago, I was in the middle of reading some John Steinbeck. I was reading The Grace of Wrath, and there's this one paragraph in that. I shared it with Maddie, then I'll share a little bit about it with you guys. Basically, he talks about he has this whole like sort of chapter dedicated to talking to the owners, and he says if you want to stop the revolution, if you want to stop the power from growing, you don't stop it when there's crowds. You don't stop it once the movement's begun. You stop it when there's two people squatting together, realizing that my house got taken away. Oh, and my house got taken away. Our homes got taken away. It's the switch from my to our, from I to we. And I got some bad news for you, Jeff Bezos. They got together. They squatted in the tent a while back, and you fucking missed it, bro. You fucking missed it. And now we're here. And now we're here. And now we got this whole crowd. Now we got a whole building, and we're about to get a second building. We're about to get LDJ 5. So I'm not going to take up too much of the spotlight, because I want to make sure the people who've been here even longer than I have get a chance to speak. But know this, all the stories, all the horror stories you heard, they're from JFK, they're true in our building too. And they're true in every Amazon building across the country. So this movement right here, this is just the beginning, like everyone's been saying. This is just the beginning of us taking back the factories, taking back the wages, taking back the time off, taking back all the material things. But more than that, the I has already become the we, and pretty soon, that warehouse is going to become our warehouse. This warehouse is going to become our warehouse. Those profits are going to become our wages. That work is going to become our job, our time, our business. And this movement is our movement. And so I'm going to pass it off to Maddie, because she's the one that really built everything here at LDJ 5. And she's going to be able to say some really great shit.
Hi, how are y'all? So when I started at Amazon, I really needed a job. So I took the first thing that popped up on the website, which was a job at a sort center called LDJ5, and it was only 16 hours a week. But I really needed a job, so I took what I could get, and I figured, oh, okay, maybe I could transfer later, maybe I could convert to full-time later. 16 hours a week is obviously not enough to live off of, especially not $18.25 an hour. So I waited like 30 days, because they told me after 30 days you could get a shift change, and then I kept applying for shift changes, and they kept denying me. What's wrong with the mic? Are we good? So I applied for shift changes, and I kept getting denied, and all of the savings that I had were getting depleted really quickly as I was paying rent in Brooklyn and commuting to work here at Staten Island. And so I went up to my manager, and I expressed my frustration. I said, I've been applying for, I've been trying to get full-time hours. The application isn't even open, and meanwhile you're hiring all these new people, some of them full-time hours right off the bat. And you know what she said to me? She said, oh, well, you could always quit and reapply. Yeah. And then she said, oh, you could transfer to JFK 8. But the thing is, I didn't want to transfer to JFK 8. I'm sure JFK 8 has great people, but, I was 3 months in at LTJ 5, and I had created a lot of relationships in the building, and a lot of people, a lot of friends who I consider family now. And I love you guys, and I love working at LTJ 5, and so I didn't want to transfer. So eventually I did get my full-time hours, but there are so many people in the building who can't get their full-time hours right now. I think the statistic I heard is 80% of the building is part-time and 20% is full-time, and that's not based off of what the workers want or the workers need. It's based off of what Amazon has figured out to be most efficient. And at the expense of the workers who can't live off of part-time hours and who want to go full-time. So, I'm just so proud of these people standing behind me right now. I love you guys. You are my family, and you've really stepped up in the past few weeks and stood up against one of the richest companies in the world. It's amazing. It's really amazing. You guys really are my family, and but you know what? Like, the way this job is now, like, how long before we all start dropping off one by one and no longer work here? How long before there's only a few of us left? The way things are now, like, the turnover rate is 150%. Realistically, none of us are going to be here for that long, right? So, I'm fighting to keep my family together. We're all fighting to keep our family together, to keep this job one that we could keep for a long time. Yeah. And that we want to keep for a long time. And so, Amazon is fighting us really hard. They're trying to separate JFK8 from LDJ5. They say, oh, JFK8's harder. We don't need the union here at LDJ5. But we all know, like, that's bullshit, right? Like, we get the same wages, same starting salary. We get the same benefits. Our commutes are the same. It's all one struggle. It's all one struggle. So to my family at LTJ5, I want to say, like, this is our one chance. We're not going to get it again. This is our one chance to improve our livelihoods, to be a part of something truly great, to be part of a movement. This is just the beginning. To my family at LTJ5, this is a call for all of you to join our brothers and sisters and siblings at JFK8 and join local number 1.
Brothers, sisters, siblings, Brother Chris, Brother Derek, Sister Sarah, Nelson, it is such an honor to be here with you as the Socialist City Council member from Seattle. And to bring you greetings from the working people, union members, and socialists in Seattle who became the first city to win a tax on Amazon in the nation. Amazon's brutal working conditions made it ripe for the union struggle that is going on. But there was nothing automatic about ALU's victory at JFK. It is important, imperative, that those of us who want to build the union in Amazon and rebuild the proud traditions of the American militant labor movement, that we learn the lessons from JFK8. Lesson number 1, lead relentlessly with concrete and clear demands to win over your fellow workers. Carry out unstoppable shop floor organizing with workers talking to workers. And last but not least, name the enemy. Be very clear. The bosses, the billionaires, the executives, the major shareholders, they are not on our side. That's right. They are not busting the union because they don't know how to make profits. They are busting the union because they know that when workers get organized, it is bad for billionaire profits. That's right. This method that has been used by ALU at JFK8, I would call it class struggle strategy, and it stands in stark contrast to much of what has prevailed in the labor movement for the last 40 years, which I would call business unionism. The false idea that somehow you can win win over the bosses through moral arguments, but not by mobilizing the membership, taking strike action, doing work stoppages, in short, doing everything that JFK 8 did. And that is the lesson we need to draw, that the power in the bargaining room comes from worker power in the workplaces and on the streets.
That's right.
I am very happy to hear that Senator Bernie Sanders and Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez met with the workers this morning. I would urge every self-described pro-union elected official in Congress to immediately act to bring bills to make sure that labor law is enforced when these corporations get giant subsidies. Put forward a legislation right now in Congress to tax corporations like Starbucks and Amazon. And we have a message for labor leadership throughout the nation as well. We need a labor leadership that is not in bed with union-busting establishment politicians. In fact, we need a new political party for working people. In addition to that, we need a revival in the labor movement itself. It is very, very important that the ALU has in their constitution that executive board members will take home a salary no more than the average wage of their membership. This is the absolute minimal first step for accountability, and it is almost non-existent in the labor union. I, as an elected representative of working people, as a rank and file member of the teachers union, as a city council member, I get paid $146,000 a year. I take home only $40,000, and the rest after taxes goes into a solidarity fund for labor and social struggle. And out of that solidarity fund, I am so deeply proud and honored to be able to donate $20,000 to the ALU struggle. Let's make sure that LDJ fight is a victory, because we know that if they smell a little bit of an opening, these bosses, they will try to seize momentum from us. So it is our collective responsibility on all our shoulders to make sure that we support the workers at LDJ Fight, support the Amazon Labor Union, to make sure that this is a huge victory in this election and a crushing defeat for Amazon and Jeff Bezos.
My name is Sarah Nelson. I'm the president of the Association of Flight Attendants. We represent 50,000 flight attendants at 18 different airlines. And, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years. And along the way, discovered very quickly that the issues that flight attendants were taking on with the boss are the same issues that workers are taking on in every industry. And it became very clear very soon that we needed to support all of labor to organize. And as I looked around and I thought about our own fights, taking on the airlines every single time, challenging them every single time, even when the odds were stacked against us with the bankruptcy court and a gun to our heads in negotiations, because we fought, we did better. But that was all about just hanging on to as much as we could and not losing what we had already built up over decades of labor organizing, so that we could be in a place where we could actually push forward. And the only way we're going to be able to push forward is if we take on capital altogether. This is not going to work through electoral politics. This is not going to work about putting more money in the political system, because the fact of the matter is that the corporate elite has all the money and all the control. They can just push more money and more control and take more control with that. What we had to do was really help people understand that they have the power. The workers have the power. They create all the value, generate everything in our economy. And as Mother Jones said over 100 years ago, if you would only understand that you hold the solution to the whole problem in your hands, for if you were to hold up in every industry and simply not work, the world could not go on, and the corporate elite would yield to any and all demands. And so, Chris Smalls gets that. He talks about that. And now he's got a whole army of people talking about it. And there's this awakening to worker power and solidarity, I gotta say. It's the power and the solidarity and the joy of workers finding their power that is so amazing and awesome about this moment. Why I have to be here, and why AFA has to do everything in our power as a union to help other workers feel this too, because that's the only way we're gonna move forward on the issues that matter to us.
Hell yeah. And I mean, the just like what you were saying, it's a really beautiful thing to behold. Right, you're here from the Flight Attendants Union. We've got Teamsters here. We've got Laborers Local 79. We've got community members who are just here to show support. And it just it really hits you when you're here in front of these Amazon facilities and you look at that bus stop and you think of how lonely the organizers must have felt on rainy days sitting there. And now to see people here showing that they've got their back is really, kind of inspiring.
But it came from out of the workplace. I mean, the workers built this movement. And as long as we think that somebody's going to parachute in and save us, we're never going to be in a position to save ourselves. And so I got to give all power to the workers because they brought us here, they called us here, and we have to understand that, and we have to keep duplicating that. We have to keep lifting people up wherever they want to organize.
Well, and in that vein, because I know Sarah and I are here. This is actually our first time meeting in person, even though we've chatted on the podcast a couple of times before. You guys know we love and stand Sarah and the Flight Attendants Union, a true warrior for love and solidarity. So great to finally meet you in person. Well, while I've got you before this rally gets going, one question I wanted to ask you as we stand here outside of JFK 8, which successfully became the first Amazon facility in the U.S. to vote to unionize. We're here on Sunday before LDJ5's votes are going to be counted, and everyone needs to keep their eye on that and support them. I wanted to ask you, as a labor, as the president of a labor union, as someone who cares so deeply about worker struggles, as someone who knows the history of worker struggles, how significant is this moment that we're actually in for people who are listening and trying to make sense of it? I mean, look,
it's amazing because workers are taking on billionaires, whether it's here at Amazon or at Starbucks, and the fact of the matter is that these billionaires, the people with all the money, don't have to answer to anyone except for the workers. And so, I mean, how significant is this in this moment when there's growing inequality, when there's a complete attack on democracy and our future, and we have every single existential threat coming right at our faces? I mean, this is everything, and we have to pour everything into it. And it's why Bernie was here. It's why AOC came here. It's and it's why I'm here. I mean, it's why you're here, Max. This is the moment that things change. And here's the thing. Chris has been asked, when did you know that you were going to win? And he said, I always knew we were going to win. And, the truth is that the workers can win right now, today, this moment. You got to lock in that union so that, in the rough times, you still have that connectivity and that support and that institution in place and those rights in place. But Howard Schultz said this week that, he had heard that maybe, he wasn't sure, it was secondhand, that maybe some workers had been intimidated not to vote. And, I think it's pretty funny because the truth is that the only way that workers get to vote at companies is if they have a union. So this is everything.
And I guess last thing there is, what can listeners do to show support for flight attendants around the country? What should they be keeping their eye on with the AFA?
Well, what listeners should know is that 24,000 flight attendants at Delta Airlines are trying to form their union with AFA. Delta has been an incredibly anti-union airline. Most airlines are organized at about 84-85% of the workers are actually in a union. At Delta, it's 23%. Because it's just the pilots and the controllers. Been that way for decades, and so Delta has really integrated this into their culture and made it a part of who they even select. I mean, they will make sure not to hire someone who has pro-union stuff on their social media, but it can be really oppressive. What people should know is that the flight attendants, last time they voted was in 2010. And that vote was narrowly lost by the flight attendants, although I have some concerns about that vote because we got the exact number of votes that we had confirmed, statistically impossible, and Delta had people voting on company computers. But anyway, let's just say that those numbers are correct. That was essentially 50% of the workforce. Well, since then, 50% of this new workforce has been hired. And the organizing energy is from this next generation. So you start doing the math and you can see we're going to win at Delta too. And so we could, if listeners are out there flying Delta, speak up to the flight attendants, ask them about their organizing drive. Not all of them are going to have a happy answer. Some of them are going to be a little concerned you're testing them on the airplane in their workplace. But lift it up and talk about it in your communities. And if you know a Delta flight attendant, talk to them about the power they can build by signing up. And I should say, AFA works under the Railway Labor Act, where we have to sign physical cards. We can't have electronic signatures, and we've got to have over 50% of the workers sign those cards in order to trigger an election. So it's quite a high bar in aviation, but we can do it. And there's very few airlines out there that are yet to be organized, but if you have conversations anywhere, let's not pit workers who are already organized against those who are yet to be organized. We have to constantly organize all workers, and that includes the ones who already have a union, because their union is where they can build their power even more, and there's plenty of issues to organize around.
Hell yeah. If these workers can organize an 8,000 person facility at Amazon, anything is possible.
Anything is possible when the workers' power is at hand.
What kind of power? Union power! What kind of power? Union power! Brothers and sisters, my name is Charles Jenkins. I'm the president of the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, New York chapter. I sit on the international board of that same powerful organization. I come representing 1.2 million black workers. I'm also a proud member of CBTU, but I'm also a long-time, 34-year member of the Transport Workers Union, Local 100. The men and women that move New York. Now I want to make it very clear that the slogan that we'll shut it down is real. Brothers and sisters, I want you to know we got the power. Yeah. Workers got the power. We have the power to bring Jeff Bezos to his knees. Now watch this. Watch this, brothers and sisters. We're calling right now, for Jeff Bezos to come to the table and negotiate in good faith, right now. Now let me tell you a little bit about the Coalition of Black Trade Unions. We're the progressive voice within inside of our own unions. I just told you I'm a 34-year member of the Transport Workers Union. And if my union don't get it, the Coalition of Black Trade Unions is going to make sure that all labor gets it. Now, I want to be very clear. I love the solidarity. We're fighting like hell to make sure that we have solidarity. But we're calling labor. We're calling labor out. Because a year and a half ago, I know who was not here standing with this here brother. I know who wasn't here. And we will not let big labor co-opt this movement. This is the movement of the workers. And workers have the power. Not from the top, but from the base. Who's got the power? We got the power. What kind of power? Worker power. So I'm glad to see many of the locals and unions out here. And I'll tell you this also. Because we gotta make sure history is told correct. The Teamsters, these brothers and sisters were out here. Chris Severa from Local 808, he was here with us on 125th Street in front of Whole Foods. And others. And so we welcome the labor movement. We welcome finally in this city, not in New York, in this city. This is a labor town, and Jeff Bezos is gonna get it. You wanna do business in this city? You gotta be union. So this movement, we need each and every one of you to go back to your respective unions and tell your unions, tell them the executive board, we need them to vote on supporting the Amazon workers because they need to now get a first contract. That's a hell of a fight. We can't afford Jeff Bezos to string this out for 2 or 3 years. So I'm suggesting to you, brothers and sisters, when you talk about shut it down, please do not use that lightly. Because let me tell you the history of the Transport Workers Union. We're one of the baddest unions in this city. And in 2005, I said in 2005, we told them clear, brother. We told them clear. I see you back there. We told them clear. If we don't get it, shut it down. I said, if we don't get it, shut it down. Now let me say this. Let's get this movement together, brothers. Let's be serious about this movement. Because one day, Chris, we can shut this place down. Brothers and sisters, I say we don't take that lightly. If we use our power, we'll have Jeff Bezos run into the goddamn negotiating table. Let me tell you about the power of the people, right? Just right here. This power that we have, one day, the amount of $1 billion he will lose in one day will drive him crazy because they don't understand that. And don't you dare let them tell the story about this young man that he doesn't know what he wants, that he doesn't look like the conventional labor. We're going to continue to do it our way. And so, if we understand the magnitude of what just happened April 1st, which is ironic because it was no joke. It was real, and they felt the sting of workers. It's reverberating around the country, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
We got to seize the moment.
Yeah.
We got to be ready to fight back. I'm trying to drive the spirit in you. I'm trying to say, don't just come out on today because the cameras are here. I need you here when there's no cameras. This is a fight for the long haul. If you're with Amazon, be with them tomorrow. If you're with Amazon, be with them the next day. If you're with Amazon, come join me because I'll be here until they win their first damn contract.
I'm here today not because I'm running for Congress. I'm running for Congress because Staten Islanders and Brooklyners are sick and tired of people who take photos with us and then turn around and take money from the bosses who are paying us poverty wages. I'm so happy that you all are seeing the Staten Island that I know. People love to tell us who we are. They love to make us the butt of their joke. They love to talk shit about what's happening in Staten Island when we're trending because white nationalists are marching in our streets. But let me tell you something. Staten Island is not Trump country. Staten Island is worker country. And Chris and ALU are showing you that before your very eyes, making history over and over and over again right now. This is a movement, not a moment. If you are here today, I want you to sit with yourself and I want you to make a commitment to yourself that you will be here when the cameras leave. That you will be here when these workers are getting arrested and harassed for doing the right thing to fight for every single one of us out here. This movement is our movement. We are taking back what is ours. And that's why it's my distinct honor to make a special announcement today. Together with AFT, NYSET, the ALU, and myself, and any candidate or elected official or union who is willing to sign on with us, we are submitting a formal request that Attorney General Letitia James enforce the contracts that said that in exchange for $18 million of our tax dollars, they could build these here. When they signed those contracts, they made a commitment to us, to me, to you, to Chris, to workers everywhere, to our state officials that said that they would not violate federal or state labor laws. Well, there is now more documentation than we can keep up with that they have violated our rights. So I want my goddamn money back, Jeff Bezos. $400 million in tax subsidies. You know what we could use that for? We could use that for a new deal for CUNY. We could use that for transportation so that workers can get here without sleeping in their cars in this parking garage right here. That's $400 million of our tax dollars that Jeff Bezos owes us back, and together here we are demanding that they give us our goddamn money back.
Luis Feliz Leon, staff writer at Labor Notes.
Hell yeah. So Luis and I are here outside the JFK 8 LDJ 5 facilities on Staten Island. It's been quite a day. This is actually our first time meeting in person, but I needed to get my boy Luis on this recording before I head back to Baltimore. Just get your thoughts on today, man. Like, how are you feeling after this whirlwind of a day?
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of fiery speeches today from Sarah Nelson, from everyone that spoke, from the Black Trade Unionists, the members. Like, people were just really riled up. Mm-hmm. The energy, the momentum is really there. And I'm optimistic. I hope that they really can pull this off and win a second warehouse at Amazon.
Hell yeah. And, for folks listening, Working People listeners already know Luis. We've had him on the show before. We had him and Lauren Kaori Gurley on in the immediate wake of the JFK 8 win. But trust me when I say that Luis has been on this in a way that few, if any others, have. So you guys should absolutely be reading what Luis is writing, not just at Labor Notes, but all over the place. But man, I wanted to ask you, like, as someone who's been covering this probably more consistently than anyone else, how has the kind of like change been over the time since you started covering it?
Yeah, well, I mean, kudos to Lauren. I think she started covering it even before I did. But yeah, I mean, I've developed, you know, good relationships. I'm a movement journalist, so I support, you know, workers organizing. I'm not of that objective school of journalism. Like, I definitely support workers when they're in motion, trying to form unions. And what I can say is that, you know, they have a really strong team of organizers. So it's really bottom up. This is not like your typical campaign. For this second election, they got some support from other unions, and that's helped with their phone bank. This is a smaller facility, a lot of part-timers. So it's a different beast, but I think they've put in the work. They've been outside the gates 24/7. They're phone banking. They're doing everything that you would do. And most importantly, I mean, they showed the world, they gave the world a positive example of what workers can do when they come together. So the fact that they were able to hold a democratic process right outside these facilities right here, and Amazon is fighting to respect that vote, right? Like, that just tells you how scared Amazon is. So Amazon is pulling all the stops, trying to stop this. Voting begins tomorrow, Monday, April 25th. So I'm hoping for the best, but we don't know. You know, it could be a wild card. It would definitely be historic if they win a second warehouse.
Yeah, so just like, before I let you go, like, for folks listening, like, what would it mean for LDJ5 to become the second Amazon facility in the U.S. to successfully unionize?
LDJ5 is a sortation center. These warehouses are built to be like unorganizable, because you have folks that are working, let's say 16 hours, 4-hour shifts a week. So the idea is that workers buy into Amazon's high turnover culture. I'm gonna take this job, work for 5 months, leave, maybe then come back, do something else. So this is not the kind of environment where you can build a union. I think you've described this as opening the shower head and trying to keep water, you know.
Trying to organize a bathtub, right? With the water coming in and the water going out, yeah.
Exactly. So this warehouse captures that precisely, you know. The complaints at JFK 8, which is a fulfillment center, were about grueling 12-hour shifts, right? Here, folks have 15 minutes breaks in between their shifts. So that means that there's not that much time to socialize, to talk to them. So it would be historic because it's a different kind of facility, a facility with mostly part-timers. I think it's like 80% part-timers. So if they are able to organize this warehouse, that leaves only one other kind of Amazon warehouse. Well, there's a couple of more, but that leaves delivery stations, right? Which they are already trying to organize one here. So I just think it becomes a proof of concept that you can organize multiple kinds of Amazon warehouses. That's what would ultimately come out of this election victory if they are able to attain it.
Hell yeah. Well, that is our boy, Luis Feliz Leon. Everyone should follow him. Everyone should support him in his work. Subscribe to Labor Notes. Support the Amazon Labor Union. Luis, any final thoughts? Any final plugs for Labor Notes?
Yeah, I mean, people should come to the Labor Notes conference. There are going to be it's going to be from June 17th to June 19th. Max is going to be there promoting his new book. So you should come and meet him at Labor Notes. Amazon workers from the Amazon Labor Union and Amazonians United are going to be there. Folks from the RWDSU from Alabama and Bessemer. Isaiah Thomas, who I profiled briefly for the Rio News Network, is going to be there. So yeah, come meet the workers, stir some trouble, come to Labor Notes.
Okay, thanks, brother.
My name is Michelle Valentin Nieves. I've been with Amazon 3 years. And I got involved with the Amazon Labor Union, I'd say about 5 months ago. I didn't get really active in it until about 3 months ago. So right when, because at first there was a union vote that was tossed out because Amazon said that a lot of the people that voted were actually terminated. So then we had to go ahead and do it over again with the NORB and put in another another election vote. So when I was told that's when I just was like, okay, I got really, really active in it about 3 months ago, like physically active. So just like speaking to people inside of the facility, handing out literature, doing potlucks, standing at the bus stop, speaking to people at all types of the sidewalk and things like that.
Yeah. So you're a living testament, right, to one of the very things that y'all in the union have been raising, right? The fact that Amazon's business model is to take in workers, chew them up, spit them out, have a turnover rate of 150%. So the fact that you've been at Amazon for 3 years, that can't be easy.
Yeah, no, it's not easy. So they pretty much like have this whole hire to fire culture. It's a very toxic culture in there. It's very hostile. So with me, it was, I did like my first year, I did working overnights. So I did front half nights my first year. And working overnights, it's a lot because it's just like a lot of people are tired, people are just stressed out. They're working at times they're not really supposed to be working at, like they're going against like their circadian sleep cycle and all of those things.
You're doing the opposite of what nature wants you to do.
Exactly. You're up 3-4 in the morning and you have to make grade and you have to do all of these type of things. So with me, it was like I placed myself where I could be trained in different things so that I could pretty much just go to like other departments or other areas because I was trained in other areas. So when that happens, it's like you get a little bit of a distance between you and the managers because you're doing different things. So let's say like if I go in and there's someone there that could only do like one thing or one row, and then someone else comes in and they can do like 4 or 5 different things, then the managers will be like, okay, well, I can use her and have her do 4 or 5 different things. So I'll try to keep her on my good side for now. You know what I mean? So the managers will be nice to you, and they will, be cordial only if they can use you and they can see a way to use you. Like, well, how much profit can I get? How much productivity can I get from this person? Especially if you know how to do 4 or 5 different things, and they'll literally put you to do 4 or 5 different things in one shift. So you could be like counting, you could be sending, you could be rebinning, you could be looking for lost packages, you could be doing all type of different things in one shift. Yeah. So it's a lot.
And that night shift, that's 12 hours, right? Or 13?
That's a 10-hour shift.
That's the 10 hour, okay.
That's Sunday through Wednesday, I believe. Sunday through Wednesday, and it's a 10-hour shift. Or Sunday through Thursday. I think it's Sunday through Wednesday. And then the second year I did RT shift, that's the 12-hour shift. So I did that. That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 12-hour shift. I did that for a whole year. And once I did it, I'd say like maybe 8 to 9 months, it started like affecting my health and my energy levels and the way I was behaving at home. Like I was like snappy at home. I was always in a bad mood. It put like a lot of stress on like my relationship and my relationship with my family and my kids. And it was just like, wow. After that second year of doing RT, I was like, okay, I had to change something, because doing this 12 hours, it was just like pounding on my body, physically and mentally. It was just like a lot. So after that, then I changed to do a flex associate. So a flex associate, you pretty much pick up whatever shifts you want, like any time or any day. But when you do that, you also give up your medical benefits.
Wow.
So it's like, okay, I have the freedom to like move my schedule around and not have to do that many hours. I could do like 35 hours only if I want to, but I lose my medical benefits. So then I had to go to the state, pretty much like Medicaid. It's like Medicaid pretty much. And I had to go to them, and I put in an application with them, and they saw like how much I was making. I was making less than $34,000. So they were like, oh yeah, you're approved. They were like, you're approved. And I was like, wow. I was like, so if they approved me that quickly, me and my kids, for state benefits, and that means that I'm, working for poverty level income, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, wow. So it was just like a lot of things happening at the same time. And then I...
Also, there was a pandemic going on.
Yeah, exactly. Let's not forget the pandemic. that's another thing that was just like, that was like pretty much the stick that broke the horse's back. Like when the pandemic came out and everyone had to work twice as hard and no one was given a break. People were coming out with COVID left and right. Some people came back to work, some people didn't. There's people that we don't even know if they passed away, if they recovered. We don't even know because Amazon keeps everything a secret. So it was just a lot. It was like all of those things combined. But for the union itself, I think the pandemic was really what pushed it to the point where they were like, okay, we have to do this. Like, we have no other choice.
Right.
Like, it got people so desperate to the point where we were like, okay, we're going to do this. Because there's only like, at this point, there's only like 20 of us, but it started out with like maybe 4 people originally. It was like maybe 4 or 5 people. So you had to like really be pushed to the point where, okay, I'm desperate for change, and this is what we're gonna have to do. Well, that's it. We're just gonna do it. We're gonna keep at it until something changes or something happens.
Yeah, and it's like, again, I think the reason that you guys have inspired working people around the country and around the world is that you said, okay, well, we're gonna be the ones to bring that change. Like clearly it's not gonna come as like gift wrapped from corporate. Politicians aren't going to do it. We're going to do it ourselves. And that's something that people who live in a society where we're told that we have no power, where we just have to accept all the bullshit that, we live with on a day-to-day basis, to just take that step is, as you all keep saying, as Chris said in the rally this morning, it's revolutionary.
Yeah, it is revolutionary. A lot of people thought we were out of our minds, and it wasn't just employees. It was, people, politicians that weren't supportive. It was also other unions. There were other unions that were not supportive and thought we were really crazy. They were like, oh, you guys are trying to take over Amazon, a bunch of blacks and Puerto Ricans. The majority of you guys are like under 25, a bunch of young kids or whatever, even though there's a few of us who aren't. But for the most part, the majority, the average age is like maybe 27. So most of them are like under 30. So they're like, yeah, you guys are crazy. You're out of your mind. You don't have a chance in the world, type of a thing. And that's what we got that from a lot of people. It wasn't just Amazon. It was a lot of different people. It was very shocking at the lack of support that we didn't have. It was just like, that was just a shock to me, because I figured people would be more supportive. But it was a lot. But that was a thing also, that a lot of people just thought we were crazy and out of our minds.
Well, and so I've been wanting to ask this, and this, we don't have to talk about this if you don't want, but I've been thinking a lot about this, obviously, from the media side. What we failed to do in the media, what maybe we got right. Because I think, we were connected by our brother Luis Feliz Leon, who does incredible work. Everyone should support it. But, Luis, Lauren, and I, we were all down in Bessemer last year. We cared about that struggle. We wanted to lift it up as much as we could. And then after the union election, failed, there was a lot of people kind of coming at the media saying, this is your guys' fault for overhyping it, and you fucked with the campaign. So, I feel like there was at least an element for me of, I don't want to mess with a campaign, but I also don't want to, deny coverage to people who need it. So I guess I wanted to ask, are there examples of how media have helped, or things that you think folks who are covering worker struggles can do better so that we don't make the same mistake that we made with JFK 8 and leave y'all without the coverage that you need?
Yeah, I think that the coverage, it should definitely have more variety. And it because the thing is that a lot of the coverage that we got, it was after the vote. Yeah. It was after the vote, after we got the vote and they were okay, they got 55%. That's when everybody just came out of the woodworks, and it was a little bit overwhelming for a lot of us because we weren't used to that type of attention. Chris and Derek, Connor, they were pretty much with the media back and forth the entire time, so they're a little bit more used to it. But for us, it was wow, we're getting a lot of coverage, and it was it's so important to have the coverage before the vote. Just to show the efforts, because a lot of people and a lot of the workers don't know what we actually did. Because I have so many people messaging me Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, sending me direct messages from different Amazon warehouses and different places like, Target, Starbucks, an electrical company was messaging me, and they were like, well, how did you guys do it? What did you do? Like, what was it? Like, they want to know, like, the secret sauce. Like, what's in the secret sauce? What did you do? So it's good to, like, try to cover it, like, before the actual vote, like a few days before the actual vote, to see what's going on as far as organizing, so that other people get a grasp of what the organizing is, because a lot of people don't know how to organize. A lot of workers, they don't know how to organize. Like, they just don't know the first thing about organizing. So it's like, you can't just like sit in a room and, okay, 1 through 5 things that are bothering you at work, because you can do that at happy hour. Like, the majority of us are already doing that at happy hour, I think. I know I have, where you sit down and, you order a beer or whatever, and you just talk about whatever it is that's bothering you at work, whatever's getting you on your nerves. But organizing is like way different than that. And it's just like, we had to like learn how to organize, and that a lot of it was like old-fashioned organizing. So definitely like more media coverage, before the election actually happens, because once they see, and especially the workers will see that also, like, oh, it's in the news, as that's changed a lot of people's perception in here as well. When they saw that we were actually on the news, they would like saw our faces, and they're like, oh snap, this girl, yeah, they're like, oh snap, that's the girl that was on TV. She was on Channel 9 News last night, and she's packing next to me in the state. Like, they see that, they see that. So it's good, to just show up, before the vote. Yeah. Not to just show up like after the vote and after everything is.
Yeah, after all the hard work's been done.
yeah, like LDJ5, like they're getting coverage now, but they're getting coverage because we won the vote in JFK 8. Yeah. So again, if we didn't win that first vote in JFK 8, I don't think LDJ5 would be getting the press and the attention that it's getting right now. Yeah. Especially considering that it's a smaller facility. So that's like where the problem is.
Well, and just because the rally is going to get started in a minute, I don't want to keep you, but like, if it maybe saves you from answering a number of separate DMs, like for folks who are listening to this, could you say a little more about that old school organizing, like the stuff that you learned in the process? Because I can't stress enough to people how much of a David and Goliath story this was, that you not only became the first Amazon facility in the U.S. to successfully vote to unionize, but you were building a union while you were doing it.
While we were working. Yeah, we were still working full time.
So what were some of those old school kind of practices that worked for you?
The old-fashioned things that we did was definitely a lot of the organizing that we did was centered around food. And unfortunately, I've gained like maybe 20 pounds in the process. I'm still working on that. But a lot of it had to do with food, catering to your coworkers, which is just saying hello, or how are you feeling today? Offering food. It could be any kind of food. It could be cookies, pizza, coffee, donuts, just something to get the conversation started. So that once a conversation starts, they remember you, and then when something's going on that they want to talk about it, they'll come back to you, because that's what happened. It's like moths to a flame type of a thing. Like, they'll come back for that positive energy, that reinforcement, and someone's actually listening to me, because a lot of times here, there's a huge disconnection with the managers and with human resources. So when you go to human resources or you go to a manager, there's a disconnection. So they're not genuinely listening to you, and they're not listening to your feedback. They're just, listening to you so that they can get, whatever labor they can from you, and they can get the profit and go on their way. That's all that's about.
Yeah, I feel like if management had that button that Dr. Evil has, where the chair flips back and you just disappear into a pit of fire, like that's what they ultimately would like. It's like, oh, you got a complaint? Okay, bye.
Exactly. And so that's what it is. And just starting conversations, just having your safe space, and also being able to start a conversation anywhere. Like, we don't have an office, we don't have a private space. We don't have a space that's away from management. So for us, it's like we had to create our own spaces wherever we were, and just to try to start a conversation, get people's contact information, cell phone numbers, email addresses, social media, create a social media page just for the employees so that you guys can go back and forth, share photos, share information, things like that. So it was like, with old fashioned, it was just like genuine, like human connection, the old fashioned conversation, talking over coffee and donuts, and just trying to organize and saying, well, are you having trouble paying your rent? Are you having trouble getting to work? Are you having trouble with a manager? Guess what? I'm having that problem also. And especially when you're speaking to someone that's been there a few years. A lot of times when I tell people I've been there 3 years, they're like in shock. Because they're like, well, you seem so nice and normal. Like, they expect me to be like this mutated, like
Medusa with...
Yeah, like a mutated Medusa coming out of the ocean with like beams coming in my eyes or something. They're like, but you seem so nice and normal. Like, you seem like, like a mom, and just like, just like a normal person. And I'm like, yeah, like I am nice and normal because I didn't let that, change who I am as a person. So it's like, you got to be able to just connect like on emotional human level, just like basic organic human connection. And that's, you take that from there, that it's like once they have that connection with you, it's like they'll keep coming back.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And again, and then like magnifying that again by thousands of people in a warehouse is just absolutely incredible.
It's crazy because it's 8,000 people, there's only 20 of us. So it's a lot.
It's a lot of food. It's a lot of conversation.
It's a lot of food. It's a lot of food. I made cakes. I made cookies. They brought in catered food. They brought in pizza, whatever it was, coffee, donuts. As long as you bring in something. And we were always like bringing stuff in, or we would wait until lunchtime and then we would just serve it to them and then hand out literature and just try to start conversations.
Hell yeah. And
you have to also, like, there are going to be those people that just are not with it and they don't agree. And there's going to be people that say no and they're going to vote against the union, and you have to be able to accept that it's a person's choice. Like, you can talk to a person 3 million times, and if, you can't get past those locks, it's like these locks. So you have to like open each lock one by one to try to just like open up that door that they have. It's like a door that they have it shut behind all of these locks. There's certain people that you just won't be able to get through, and that's okay. You have to be able to understand that I'm not going to be able to get everyone to vote yes or to organize, and be able to, respect people's answers and respect people's decisions.
Yeah, I mean, it still comes from the same place, right?
Yep.
Respecting your coworkers as
Exactly.
human beings, talking to them that way. That's what it's all about. And, again, I can't thank you enough for chatting to me about this. And I just wanted to ask, by way of rounding out, what can folks listening out there do to support you all, support LDJ5 and Amazon workers around the country?
Right now we have like a website. It's amazonlabor.org. So anyone can just sign up to that website, and then you automatically start getting emails from us. And there's also like a workers committee where you can volunteer. I believe we also have like a GoFundMe as well, the Amazon Labor GoFundMe. And, just showing your support like through social media. Social media is like a wonderful tool as well, because it's like a mixture of like old-fashioned ways and then new ways, which is we also use social media as well as a platform to try to like reach out to people.